Greetings, manga maniacs! Get ready for a manga roller coaster as we delve into the latest escapades of Kanan-sama. Brace yourself for laughter, romance, and unexpected twists in this recap extravaganza. Observing the conflict between Kanan and Jin over him, Kyugi senses himself caught amid a peculiar situation. Wondering aloud why they can't simply accompany him on the journey home together, he is met with simultaneous refusals from both parties. Jin asserts that he has completely surrendered to the allure of the demon, compelling him towards her and reassuring him that it's acceptable. Despite possessing only an abundance of compassion, she promises to guide him down the paths of faith and pleasure. In response, Kanan steadfastly rejects her, claiming her choice of words is inappropriate. The verbal exchange continues until Jin, determined, takes hold of Kyugi and insists on him accompanying her. Kanan's anger flares up, fueled by the realization that she has never held hands with Kyugi before. Determined to intervene, she sprints towards them, grappling with the concern that mere handholding might lead to an unintended pregnancy. In her hurried attempt, she overshoots and races past them, only to notice Jin's attire entangled in a tree upon turning back. Jin, in distress, calls out to Kanan to free her, prompting Kanan to approach and offer assistance with a cautionary tone. As she tugs at the fabric, it tears, causing Jin to tumble to the ground, overwhelmed with embarrassment, declaring that she feels tainted by a demonic presence and experiences discomfort in her groin. Kanan corrects her, attributing the predicament to Jin's action. Undeterred, Kanan leaves with Kyugi, holding his hand. Kanan and Ami visit Jin's place, only to be taken aback by the condition of her dwelling. They surmise that celestial finances must be limited. Curious about Jin's absence from school, Kanan peers into her cardboard home. To her surprise, she witnesses a man confessing his sins to Jin, who grants him forgiveness. The man, visibly elated, embraces Jin and presents her with a snack as an offering before departing. Kanan remarks that the offering seems like a tribute, and Jin, startled to see them, inquires about their presence. Kanan, concerned, questions Jin about leaving Kyugi alone. Jean elucidates that she provides guidance to numerous people, revealing a queue of men waiting for her counsel. The men protest, asserting that Jean shouldn't have jumped the line, emphasizing they were there first. They express gratitude, claiming she rescued and indulged them with her charm. An incensed Kanan confronts them, condemning their impure souls. She contends that instead of saving souls, Jin is inadvertently fostering criminal behavior. Kanan implores Jin to return to heaven, but Jin insists she cannot until she fulfills her purpose of safeguarding Kyugi. Kanan clarifies that she has no intention of consuming Kyugi's soul. Perplexed, Jin questions why, and Ami interjects, suggesting that Kanan has unsavory intention. Jin, still confused, doesn't comprehend the notion of dirty things. In an attempt to explain, Kanan and Ami elaborate, but Jin remains puzzled. Ami resorts to demonstrating, using examples from books and a laptop to illustrate the concept. Jin opts for a sailor uniform for school, prompting Kyugi to inquire about her choice. She explains the dress code, and he compliments her, finding it cute. This surprises Kanan, who decides to teach him a lesson for ogling. Kanan, too, changes into a sailor uniform, admiring her appearance. However, when Kyugi unexpectedly enters, she hurriedly conceals herself. Hearing Jin approaching, Kanan fears being labeled a copycat, and hastily pulls Kyugi into a locker box to hide. Stuffed into the cramped space, Kyugi attempts to adjust, but Kanan warns him to stay still. As they share the confined space, he admits struggling not to get excited due to their proximity. Kyugi explains it's inevitable when she looks adorable in the uniform, leaving Kanan visibly shocked. He questions her choice of attire, wondering why she bothered dressing up if she intended to keep it concealed. She explains that the prospect of being noticed by someone else would be embarrassing, but she thought he might appreciate the effort. Affirming his appreciation, he pulls her closer. Seeking clarification, she inquires if he is solely enamored with the uniform. Before he can respond, he draws her towards him, creating an intimate moment that hints at a potential kiss. However, their moment is abruptly interrupted by Jin, who is still in search of Kyugi. As they topple out of the locker, Jin witnesses the scene and declares that they are baby-making. On a crowded bus, Kyugi and Kanan find themselves standing since there are no available seats. Kanan, feeling bashful after the locker incident, avoids making eye contact with Kyugi. Eventually, he suggests staying on the bus and heading somewhere together. Excitement fills Kanan when they reach the beach, expressing her anticipation as it's her first time seeing the ocean. However, she worries about maintaining her image as an honor student after skipping school. Curious about Kyugi's plans for their beach outing, she inquires about his intention. He explains that he simply wanted to create a memorable experience, but she misinterprets his words, mistakenly thinking he wishes to resume the interrupted kiss from the locker incident the day before. Unaware of Kanan's Kanan's thoughts, Kyugi invites her to join him, suggesting she sit beside him. She declines, citing her reluctance to sit on the ground. In response, Kyugi playfully lifts her onto his lap, eliciting a sense of cuteness in her. Suddenly, he instructs her to gaze upward, causing Kanan to feel a nervous anticipation, believing he might be inclined to kiss her. Puckering her lips and closing her eyes in expectation, Kyugi surprises her by capturing a photograph instead. Startled by the unexpected gesture, Kanan is taken aback, feeling a mixture of surprise and annoyance that her fluttering emotions were merely for the sake of a picture. To add to her astonishment, her frustration appears to influence the water around them, resulting in a sudden surge that drenches them both completely. After getting drenched by the ocean, Kyugi and Kanan decide to seek refuge in a net cafe. Kanan stays in a room while Kyugi fetches clothes for both of them. Apologizing for not accompanying him, she receives a dismissive response, urging her to change quickly to avoid catching a cold. As they both start changing, Kanan instructs Kyugi not to look while she changes. He falls silent and assures her he won't peek. She then covers his eyes with a piece of cloth, cautioning him not to remove it. While in the process of changing, Kanan feels overly self-conscious, thinking that even with his eyes closed, it's akin to a striptease. Despite her embarrassment, she resolves herself, considering that she has blindfolded him, and trusts that he won't sneak a peek. Kyugi, changing behind him, is acutely aware of her self-consciousness. His heightened senses, due to the blindfold, allow him to discern every sound she makes, deducing the moments she removes her bra and panty. Despite a strong desire to see her at that instant, he acknowledges his wish to witness her in her underwear. Abruptly, Kanan instructs him to turn towards her. Initially hesitant, he complies as she questions whether he wants to see her. Turning around, he is met with the sight of her donning a demon outfit. Kanan invites him to provide any self-explanation, but he simply remarks that it suits her perfectly. Kyugi and Kanan find themselves at an amusement park, and she inquires about the purpose of the Ferris wheel. Surprised by her lack of familiarity with it, Kyugi learns that there isn't one in the demon realm. He suggests trying it out, but she tries to avoid it, asserting that she's not a kid who needs to ride it. However, she eventually agrees to join him on the Ferris wheel if he insists. Once aboard, she seems to enjoy the view, looking around and taking it in. Curious, she asks him why they're at the amusement park instead of being in school. Kyugi reveals that he has something he wants to do with her, celebrate their youth. He explains that playing hooky and going to the beach with the person you love is a desire many high schoolers have. He also notes that she seemed a bit reserved on the train, hoping that by surprising her, she would cheer up. Kanan admits she's still not entirely sure about the concepts of youth and romance, but she finds them enjoyable. She praises Kyugi for doing a good job in making it fun, and suggests he continue surprising her. In a surprising turn, she declares that she loves going to various places with him. Both of them are taken aback by her use of the word love. She hastily clarifies that she's not referring to romantic feelings. As they attempt to process the moment, the Ferris wheel shakes, causing Kanan to tumble into Kyugi's lap. Onlookers from the adjacent Ferris wheel cheer them on, creating an awkward atmosphere. Hastily readjusting themselves, Kanan sits beside Kyugi and rests her head on his shoulders. Kyugi, Kanan, Ami, and Jin find themselves at a boutique, with Kanan and Ami shopping for their upcoming trip back to the demon realm. The only items left on their shopping list are swimsuits. Kanan takes a moment to explain to Kyugi, who is still processing the notion of the demon realm, that there isn't much to do there, aside from hanging out at the lake. Curious about Jin's presence, Kanan inquires, and Jin replies that she goes wherever Kyugi is. Nadeko, a fellow student from their school, spots them and decides to join. Ami suggests that they try on swimsuits together, catching Kanan off guard since Kyugi is present. However, when Ami and Jin ask if she's shy, Kanan declines, and they all disperse to explore the boutique and find their preferred swimsuits. While browsing through swimsuits, Kanan wonders about Kyugi's preferences but corrects herself, deciding to choose what she likes. Eventually, she finds one that appeals to her and selects it. Ami, on the other hand, is determined to pick a daring and sexy swimsuit, looking forward to Kanan's reaction. Nadeko is apprehensive about wearing a swimsuit and worries about Kanan's response to her body. However, she resolves that the potential embarrassment is a kind of reward. Jin, too, is uncertain about her swimsuit choice. Kyugi calls everyone out to showcase their selection. As they reveal their swimsuits, Kanan hesitates and refuses to come them out, feeling that the others made more adult choices. Eventually, she emerges wearing a swimsuit that covers her body, in contrast to the others. Kyugi compliments her, stating that she looks cute with the way she covers herself. He playfully declares her the cutest, declaring her the winner. This leaves everyone surprised by Kanan's unexpected choice. Kyugi, Kanan, Ami, and Jean are at the train station, getting ready for their journey to the demon realm. The train is arranged specifically for Kyugi to accompany Kanan on her trip back home, and he's taken aback by the private arrangement. Kanan teases him for getting excited over a private train as they settle into their seats. As the journey progresses, Kanan feels the need to use the bathroom but hesitates to bring it up. Jean notices Kanan's discomfort but misinterprets it, thinking Kanan is planning to make a move on Kyugi. Despite also needing to use the bathroom, Jean refuses to go. Amy, observing the situation, notices that both Kanan and Jean need to go to the bathroom. Although she also needs to use it, she decides to stay seated and laugh at their predicament. Before long, Jean can no longer suppress the urge to use the bathroom. She stands up and announces her intention to go, but Kanan playfully questions whether it's safe for Jean to let Kyugi out of her sight, suggesting territorial intentions. Jean quickly reconsiders and sits back down, while Kanan takes the opportunity to stand. Curious, Kyugi inquires about Kanan's destination, and she claims she's retrieving her bag. In a gesture of kindness, Kyugi offers to bring it to her. After handing over the bag, Jean remains seated in discomfort, prompting Kyugi to sense tension and decide to lighten the mood. He presents Kanan with a prepared gift, a cup of coffee. Surprised, Kanan reluctantly drinks it, praising him afterward, though her discomfort and need to use the bathroom only intensifies. Eventually, feeling hot, Kyugi decides to cool off in the bathroom. This announcement shocks the three ladies, and they hurriedly rush after him, much to his surprise. Kyugi is taken aback by the size of Kanan's house and remarks on her apparent wealth. Mentioning that it's really dark in Denmark, Kyugi and Jean express confusion, with Jean stating she's never been to Denmark. Kanan, realizing the misunderstanding, corrects them that they are in the demon realms, not Denmark. Jean quickly comprehends the correction, looking shocked, while Kyugi still mispronounces it as Demon Rerumu. Kanan warns them to be quiet and not to be rude as they enter the house. Welcomed by an entourage, Kyugi and Jean feel overwhelmed, but Kanan reminds them to behave. Excusing herself to see her father, Kyugi blurts out that he needs to use the toilet. On his way there, he encounters a woman who asks if he is lost. Turning to respond, the woman loudly declares that there's a man in the castle emitting sexual vibes. Perplexed, Kyugi fails to understand the woman and instructs her to stand behind him, positioning himself as if to defend her. The woman continues crying until two young girls emerge, addressing her as their mother. They clarify to Kyugi that he is the issue, explaining that their mother suffers from an extreme case of androphobia and males are not permitted near her. Upon realizing that Kyugi is a human, the girls disdainfully refer to him as a piggy. Playfully, they express a desire to eat him, but he hastily evades them. Eventually, they recognize him as the person Kanan had mentioned. Kyugi deduces that they are Kanan's sisters, Milty and Meal, and identifies the woman as their mother, Lilim. Kanan proceeds to greet her father, Beelzebub, who warmly welcomes her. To her concern, he mentions hearing from Amy that she brought home a lover. Anxious about her father's reaction to her dating a human, Kanan is taken aback when Beelzebub expresses immense joy and lifts her up, congratulating her. Lilim enters and adds her congratulations, mentioning her worries about Kanan's education due to her androphobia, but commending her for making the right choice by choosing a girl. Surprised by her parents' assumption that she's dating a girl, Kanan attempts to correct them, but they continue to interrupt her. Even her sisters join in, teasing her about her supposed choice. Unable to contain herself, Kanan finally exclaims that her lover is Kyugi. The entire family is taken aback upon learning that Kanan's lover is not only a human, but also a man. Her sisters continue to playfully tease her about it. Suddenly, the head maid enters and informs Kanan that she assumed Kyugi was part of the souvenirs she brought, so she prepared him as the main course for their dinner. Other maids then present the meal, featuring a naked Kyugi posed on a plate. To everyone's surprise, Kyugi remarks that he thought it was a family tradition and went along with it. He introduces himself to Beelzebub and expresses his hope to get along with him. Kanan promptly pulls Kyugi away to dress him up, expressing her initial concerns about how his meeting with her father would go, but she acknowledges that he acted cool. As they return to meet the family, Beelzebub, however, declares that he will not allow Kanan to have a human lover. Kyugi and Kanan are stunned by Beelzebub's words. Beelzebub, pleased with his statement, turns to Kyugi and Kanan, expressing that while there's no precedent, he cannot allow his daughter to date a human. He then presents Kanan with a stamp rally, tasking her with persuading various individuals to grant her permission to date a human. Angrily, Kanan questions why she has to seek everyone's approval for her personal life. However, Hyugi interrupts, suggesting that it would be wonderful to have the blessing of everyone in her family. He agrees to accept those terms if it means being formally accepted into their family. This surprising declaration leaves everyone in shock. Kanan takes the stamp to her mother, who refuses to stamp it, citing her aversion to men. Although she wants to support her daughter, she cannot stand being around men. Curious, Hyugi questions Kanan about why her mother is uncomfortable around men. Kanan explains that Lilim used to be renowned as the most beautiful woman in the demon realm, attracting numerous suitors daily. However, the proposals became overwhelming. Lilim remarks that she would have easily accepted Kyugi if he were a girl. In an attempt to play along, Kyugi dresses as a girl, but Lilim is put off by his body hair. To lighten the situation, Kanan gives Kyugi a drink that transforms him into a child. They all find him adorable in his new form. Lilim, overcome with emotion, holds the child Kyugi and tearfully expresses her wish for him to remain like this and never grow up. However, Kyugi eventually changes back to his normal size. Thanks for diving into the delightful madness of Kanan-sama with us. If you enjoyed the recap roller coaster, smash that like button, subscribe for more manga escapades, and ring the notification bell. Share your thoughts, and until our next manga rendezvous, happy reading.